Guys, we got a problem. My position's been compromised. I repeat, my position.
Dawson.
Dawson, god damn it!
Frank, do not break position.
I repeat, do not break.
The movie begins in northern Iraq, where a squad of United States snipers is assigned to oversee a mission to retrieve and escort Yusuf Abad, the leader of a terrorist group, along with his family, to an extraction point for evacuation. Meanwhile, the terrorists receive word that American soldiers are approaching. Believing this is their land, they prepare to defend it with everything they have trained for. As the snipers communicate, they spot their target and his vehicle. Although they are uncomfortable granting Yusuf safe passage because of his past, they are required to follow orders for political reasons. Yusuf asks the American soldiers to protect him, claiming he holds critical information that could benefit them. At the same time, several members of the terrorist group head toward the pickup point using a hidden route. They refuse to remain silent while their leader is about to be taken away. Their plan is to sabotage the mission, starting with eliminating the sniper squad. The terrorists eventually locate one of the snipers, but the soldier quickly neutralizes one of them. Shortly after, Dawson reports that their position has been exposed, and he is shot by an enemy sniper. Frank, the leader of the U.S. sniper team, removes his earpiece, leaves his position, and rushes to Dawson despite Timothy warning him not to break cover. The situation rapidly spirals out of control when the terrorists surround them. In the chaos, Frank makes a sudden and unplanned decision, killing the terrorist leader and his family. 10 years later, in Las Cruces, New Mexico, Frank has left the military, but the memory of that incident continues to haunt him. The weight of what happened stays on his mind, and he keeps his guilt to himself. He attends a support group where others openly share their struggles, but when asked to speak, he refuses. After leaving the army, Frank devotes most of his time to running his auto repair shop, which is now his main source of income. Later that day, he and his employee, Pedro, finish repairing a customer's car, and Frank invites him to dinner. However, Pedro declines because he has a date. That evening, Frank has dinner with his wife, Cassie, and his stepdaughter, Shannon. Cassie asks him to take her and Shannon on a weekend getaway. He explains that he needs to deliver the repaired car to the customer's house. Cassie insists on coming along. Frank suggests bringing Pedro instead, but Cassie says they will ride in the pickup truck and refuses to stay behind on a Saturday. When Shannon uses her charm to persuade him, he finally agrees to let them join him. However, he feels uneasy because the customer is a powerful crime lord he once worked for. The next day, he arrives at the crime lord's mansion and meets one of his most dangerous men, Nelson, who is standing with a young woman. Frank remarks that she looks too young. Nelson asks him if he is lost. Frank replies that he is there to deliver the repaired car. Nelson mockingly calls him a grease monkey and says he will show him where to go. Frank responds that he knows the way and tries to walk past him, but Nelson grabs him, leading to a fight. When Nelson pulls out a knife and attempts to stab Frank, a man named Lazarus, the crime lord's trusted right-hand man, steps in and stops the fight. Lazarus then escorts Frank to meet the crime lord, Leo. Inside, Frank sees preparations for a birthday surprise for Leo's daughter, Nikki. Nikki soon enters with her father and excitedly asks if she can ride the new bike he gave her. Leo agrees and tells Nelson, who is eating in the kitchen, to watch over her. Nelson complains about always being ordered around, which angers Leo. Leo warns him that if he ever speaks that way again, he will have Lazarus cut out his tongue. Leo then hands Frank an envelope filled with cash as payment for repairing the car. Frank quickly realizes the amount is far more than necessary. Leo admits he did it intentionally because he wants Frank to return to work as a hitman. Frank firmly refuses the offer. Even so, Leo insists he keep the money and allows him to leave. Frank returns to the truck where Cassie and Shannon are waiting and drives back home. That night, Frank wakes from a nightmare about the incident from 10 years earlier. He calls Timothy, but when Timothy answers, Frank remains silent. The following evening, Frank sees a news report stating that Nikki has died in a hit-and-run accident. The news deeply affects him because he witnessed how much Leo loved his daughter. Cassie asks him what is wrong, but he avoids answering. Soon after, Lazarus calls him, but Frank does not pick up. Not long later, Lazarus and several men arrive at Frank's house. Lazarus tells him that Leo wants his help to avenge Nikki's death. Frank refuses, saying he fixes cars, not people, and he does not want to return to the criminal world. However, when Lazarus threatens him, Frank realizes he has no real choice. Meanwhile, Cassie notices the late-night visit and asks why those men came to their home. Frank reassures her that it is only unfinished business and has nothing to do with their family. Shannon interrupts, asking Frank to tuck her into bed. After doing so, Frank tells Cassie that he has to leave. Cassie asks him to stay, but he refuses. Angry and hurt, she slaps him. He calmly tells her he will not raise his hand against her, which only makes her push him away and walk off. When Frank arrives at Leo's mansion, he finds him broken and grieving over his daughter's death. Leo speaks about how badly he wants the man responsible to suffer. Frank suggests that Lazarus handle it instead. Leo replies that Lazarus is useful for large-scale jobs, but this situation requires someone someone with Frank's skills. Frank reminds him that he is retired. Leo then threatens to reveal Frank's dark past to Cassie if he refuses. Not wanting his wife to discover the truth about his history, Frank reluctantly agrees. The next day, Lazarus gives Frank detailed files on the suspect so he can begin immediately. It does not take long for Frank to track down the man's location. After choosing a proper vantage point, he sets up his sniper rifle and prepares to act. When he sees the suspect with his family, he remembers the tragic mistake he made years ago. The memory stops him from pulling the trigger. Instead, he lowers the rifle and allows the police to arrest the man. Unbeknownst to Frank, Leo had ordered one of his men to watch him and report everything. When Leo learns that Frank refused to act, he orders Lazarus to eliminate both the suspect and Frank. Back at home, Cassie is shocked when Lazarus and his men break in. They shoot her and kidnap Shannon. Meanwhile, Lazarus intercepts the police convoy, captures the suspect, and takes him away to be tortured as Leo demanded. Frank returns home and is horrified to find Cassie lying wounded. He rushes her to the hospital. Desperate for help, he contacts Timothy, his former sniper teammate, and explains that Shannon has been taken. Timothy agrees to help. At the hospital, Frank meets Cassie, who is devastated and furious. She accuses him of lying and blames his hidden past for what happened. Frank apologizes sincerely and promises that he and Timothy will bring Shannon home safely. He urges her to rest while he handles it. Frank and Timothy head to Leo's mansion, but when they arrive, Leo, Lazarus, and Shannon are gone. They encounter one remaining henchman inside. Timothy manages to overpower him. However, the man suddenly grabs for Frank's gun to shoot him. Without hesitation, Timothy kills him. Unfortunately, this leaves them with no way to learn where Shannon has been taken. Meanwhile, still consumed by grief over his daughter's death, Leo takes Shannon to his hometown. Although Leo treats Shannon kindly, almost like his own daughter, she remains frightened and only wants to return to her mother. Meanwhile, Leo's wife Marta believes kidnapping Shannon has gone too far and urges him to end this madness, but he refuses to listen. Because Frank once worked for Leo, he knows where to look for information about Leo and Lazarus. He and Timothy travel to one of Leo's major drug operations in Mexico. They swiftly overpower the guards and force them to reveal clues about Shannon's location. As expected, Lazarus assumes Frank will come after them and orders Nelson to eliminate him. Frank tracks Nelson down at a bar, attacks him, and pressures him into revealing where Shannon is being held. At the same time, Timothy handles the rest of Leo's men. After getting the information he needs, Frank kills Nelson. Now aware that Shannon is being held at Leo's home, Frank and Timothy arm themselves and prepare for a final confrontation. Meanwhile, Lazarus strengthens security around the estate to prevent Frank from breaking in. However, Lazarus and his men are no match for the experienced snipers. One by one, they are defeated in the firefight. During the battle, Timothy is seriously wounded, forcing Frank to continue alone. Realizing his defenses are collapsing, Leo grabs Shannon at gunpoint and attempts to flee. As they try to escape, they come face to face with Frank. Frank demands that Leo release Shannon and promises to spare his life in return. Marta pleads with Leo to let Shannon go, reminding him that she is not their daughter and has a loving family waiting for her. Leo ignores her and prepares to attack Frank. Seizing a brief opportunity, Shannon bites Leo's hand, distracting him. In that split second, Frank throws a knife into Leo's chest, killing him. The story ends with Frank bringing Shannon home and fulfilling his promise to Cassie. Cassie forgives him and accepts him despite his past. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and support the channel's growth.